So are we doing chapter 31 or 32 today? Do you all remember?
Hold on, I took a note. We did 30 and 31 as homework
Okay,
last week.
all right.
And then, so we're up to 32. But if you want, we can go over 30 and 31 because you weren't, we didn't do it with you. Can you open the book, please?
Okay, that's perfect.
Mhm.
Then we'll do 32 next time. And
Okay.
with them, they will be on 33 in 2 weeks from now.
Okay,
So we'll do
So-
33 and 34 together in 2 weeks,
okay,
okay?
that's good.
Okay, okay, let's go over. You said 30 and 31.
Yes.
Oh yeah, your heart is like a house, right?
Mhm. The
Mhm.
barking dogs.
The barking dogs. And I like the video about the barking dogs. Very nice.
Beautiful.
Those are fun to do. And as soon as we get the Ghazali website up, we'll post all of these on there, and we'll put
Perfect.
titles and stuff like that.
Mhm.
You know, be nice. Are any of you wanting to put titles on them? You know, like kids can go online and make fancy titles, you know, of things.
Yes. Well, I don't know how to do it, but I hope my kids
Of course,
know.
you don't know how to do it.
But the kids know, I'm sure, in 2 weeks, 10
All
a.m.
right.
I'm just taking a note about 2 weeks a.m.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next week we'll do 31 together,
Okay.
and then we'll do 32 and 33 the following week. Okay, your
33
heart is like a house. All right, that's a pretty powerful chapter. Mhm. So if your heart is like a house, everyone, if your heart is particularly golden, if you're in a really good state of being, right? Mhm. You have beautiful thoughts, and these are angelic thoughts. We don't really know what angels are, do we? Any of us? I mean, but it's something, right? Some beautiful thing that Allah speaks of. We hear a lot of it, you know, and the angels also send blessings upon the prophet, right? Whatever these beings are, they actually, when your heart is golden, they're all settled inside. And what happens if you have bad thoughts, everybody? What are the bad thoughts like? Yes, you know. Okay, go ahead, answer.
Dogs?
Yeah, dogs. Yeah, you said barking dogs.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. And what happens if the angels are all happily in your golden heart and the dogs bark, the bad thoughts like are barking? What happens with the angels? Do they stay in your heart, or do they go away? Let me get the workbook. See the picture? This is in the workbook. What's going on here? The angels are flying away. Yes, go ahead.
The dog is barking and the angels are going away.
Yeah. So in other words, when you have bad thoughts in your head, you know, or you think of bad thoughts like, no, I'm not gonna help my mother. No, I'm gonna be greedy. I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. Oh, that's not very good for your heart, is it? Right? Your golden heart really suffers when you do that, you know? Oh, it's terrible. They frighten the angels away. So yeah, if you get angry, right? Then yeah, some what are some of the kinds of thoughts you could think of that might scare angels out of your heart? Everybody name one thing, one thought that would be frightening to your heart, angels.
Like bad things.
Uh-huh.
Stuff like not praying and doing religious stuff.
That's right. Absolutely true.
Fighting with your siblings.
Fighting with your siblings, yeah.
Sarah?
Yeah, it's so easy to do that too, isn't it?
Mean to other people and
Oh.
like being rude.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you're so right. That's true. You know, it's so good, you know, we're talking about these things together, because if we talk about them and talk about how we can use them in our lives, we will remember them. But if we don't talk about them or think about them, you know, just any kind of thoughts come in, you know, the whisperings, right? So that's really good that you all know that, right? So, does anyone have any other thoughts they would like to say about this?
It could be like not helping someone
Mhm.
if they like fall down or something, trip.
Yeah, exactly. That's a very good point. Yeah, it's amazing to think of that, the state of our heart. And don't we love people who are very kind and generous? Yes. Oh, you're raising your hand. No. Who's raising their hand? Go ahead, speak.
Maybe gossiping.
That's the worst, isn't it? Yeah, that's the worst. Remember, we studied gossiping. Remember? Do you all remember when we studied gossiping? We did, right? What does the Quran say gossiping is like?
Eating the humans' dead flesh.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Let's say you have a boy at school and you talk badly about him. Say, oh, he's horrible. He's not, he doesn't even have nice shoes. If you do that, it's the thing, Allah says it's the same thing as eating his dead flesh. Can you imagine that's how bad gossiping is? Can you imagine it? And do you know how often people do it? They get together and what do? They talk about other people. When we get together, wouldn't it be better if we talk about beautiful ideas like we're talking now? Yeah. And you always hear, sometimes when people die, you hear people say, they were wonderful. They didn't say a bad word about anybody. It's interesting that that's what they say about people, And I think I told you the story of the little girl, Lena. She's written a book that I'll show you all. It's called Lena and the Seven Limbs, the hands, the ears, the eyes, the feet. She's written a storybook and all these children illustrated about a little girl who does bad things with the seven limbs. But anyway, Lena, I didn't know about Lena. And one day a mother called me up and she said, Auntie Aisha, and I said, yes. She said, I am so-and-so and I have a little daughter, Lena, and she's 8 years old. And the other day I had ladies over and we were having a tea party and we were all having tea and cookies and all the rest of it. And little Lena came in and she said, she whispered in my ear and she said, Mom, are you all backbiting? Talking about other people. And I said, may I speak to Lena? So Lena got on the phone. I've never met her. And she was very cute. And she said, Auntie, she said, when Mother read me the story about backbiting, the chapter from Imam al-Ghazali, she said, I had never heard about backbiting before. And I thought, never heard about it. When I was a little girl, Mother would say like once a week, dear, if you don't have something good to say about someone, don't say anything at all. But Mother should have said it 10 times a day. If it's that bad, if what Imam al-Ghazali, what the Quran says about it, if it's that bad, why are we doing it at all? And why don't people talk about it all the time? Muslims, you hear them talking, she's no good, he's going to hell, he's a kafir, that group's no good. We shouldn't say anything, because it's so bad. And I think I told you when we did the study of backbiting, when you get to the book on fasting, when is Ramadan? Is it about 8 weeks out? How many weeks away is Ramadan? Does anyone know? Ahmed, do you know?
It's like in April. I think it starts in
Yeah.
April 14th. I don't
Oh,
know
that's-
how many
That's
weeks.
near, that's near,
Yeah.
This will be our second Ramadan fasting, yeah. Anyway, so in the book of fasting, maybe when we're doing Ramadan, we'll work on fasting since we're going to be fasting, right? But in that book, there's a hadith, all know what a hadith is, right? The sayings of our prophet, peace and blessing be upon him. So some ladies came to our prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, and they said, Ya Rasul, we've been fasting during Ramadan and we are weak and frail and we are asking your permission. May we break the fast because we're old and all the rest of it. And he said, oh, ladies, you already broke the fast. And they looked at each other. We already broke the fast. he said, take this bowl. I want you to go out there and I want you to throw up in it. And all these people were standing around and watching. And when the lady started throwing up, pieces of human flesh and blood came out into the pot. He said, when you were backbiting while fasting, you broke your fast, because fasting is not just from food and water and medicine and all this kind of stuff. Fasting is from, if it was just that, I mean, you have your inside, you have to fast from saying bad things, from listening to things you don't listen overhear what people are saying, or listen to horrible things. Fasting for your feet is not taking you to someplace not so great, you know, all of this. So that is how far out gossiping is. And I want you children, if there's only one thing you really take care of, anytime you're going to start to say something about somebody, just bite your tongue. Don't do it. And if you keep doing that for a while, it'll become a habit, and you'll start, because you can't do it. It's too bad. Okay. So I'm very glad that that's what you said, you know, that you mentioned as a concept. Any other, that's a thing you could think about. That's something that, those are bad thoughts. You know, if you talk badly about someone, everyone else mentioned something that, some thought you could have that would drive the angels away from your golden heart. Somebody else speak up. Sueda, oh, you spoke, didn't you? You're the one who came up the idea. What about Ahmed? Yes?
It could be like, so if you're like being not kind to someone,
Mm-hmm.
and not helping someone
Yeah.
if trip or fall, or they actually need help.
Yeah. Yeah, because you see, you would have had that thought, that person needs help, I'm not going to do it, right? So you had a bad thought about that. Ali Jazar, what would you like to say?
Ali went to the bathroom.
Well, you can speak then. Give us a kind of thought that you might have that would drive the angels away from your golden heart.
Maybe like leaving my prayer to the last minute, like I'll do it later, that
Mhm.
thought is, you know,
Yeah.
where I want to leave it till the last minute. That might drive the angels away.
Oh, you know, it's so easy to do that with prayer, isn't it? You know, and then sometimes you just blow it and you miss the whole prayer period, you know.
To
Mhm.
what was it? To backbite someone
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
not help your parents,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
being mean to your friends, and
Oh, I know. Terrible.
Making a thing like fun of someone. Like making fun of someone.
Oh, that's horrible, to tease someone. Isn't that terrible? Right. These are all terrible ideas, you know. I wonder why we do these terrible thoughts and ideas. It's not the golden heart. It's like we have a lower nafs, right? We've talked about the nafs before, everybody. You have three selves inside of you. You have the lower self. It's the one that says, do that bad thing. It's the one that thinks only of itself. It's very selfish, right? And that's called do you know the nafs al-amara? The soul that encourages you to do the lower thing. And then you have the nafs al-lawama, and that's the part of you that says, oh, I shouldn't have done that. You know, oh boy, I should get up and help mom. It's called the blaming soul. But then you have one soul who's watching it, and that is who you really are. It's your golden heart, and it's called the nafs al-mutma'inna, the soul that is at peace, at rest, content. And that can watch you. I can sometimes watch myself. Let's say it's Fajr, and I'm thinking, all right, I'm going to get up and pray, and then I have another thought. Or just stay in bed for a little while. There's still time, you know, and it's cold. And then the good thought is, well, if I just get up, I'll feel fine once I'm up. And then the lower self says, well, no, you can stay in bed more, right? And I can actually, when that happens to me, I can watch the discussion. I'm actually the heart, the golden heart. Have you ever been able to watch yourself going back and forth between good and bad idea? Has anyone ever experienced that? Ahmed,
Yeah, I have.
you have? You've seen
Yeah,
it?
the same thing. When I'm in bed and then it comes to my mind like to get up and then yeah, like that. Yeah, to pray and
Yeah.
So my dad woke me up for morning prayer today, and then he woke me up, and then I wanted to like lay in bed more, but I was awake, and then I just got up.
Then you just got up.
My
Good for
golden
you.
heart was telling me to get up, and then I'll be just fine.
That's so wonderful. That's so wonderful. Yeah, but you watched it, and you're telling us about it now. You watched yourself not wanting to get up. Who is watching yourself not wanting to get up? Which part of you is, you see, it's your real self, the golden heart, who you really are, and it's thinking, oh, that one down there, he doesn't want to get up. He should get up. But, you know, prayer is such an opportunity, you know, now that we're all locked in here with COVID and we're not going all over the place and we're at home and we could do it. I was thinking about it. You know, I have to say something to all of you. You know, I have all my friends who are not Muslim, many of them, and they're nice people, but they don't know what Islam is or anything like that. And you know what they're doing now, because they're so worried about their hearts? They're just doing meditation classes, and they pick several times a day, and they sit with their eyes closed and their hands here, and they follow their breath. They try to calm down, and they try to discover a calm place in themselves. And they find it's very, very hard to do, right? Do you know what Muslims have? 5 times a day, we have the opportunity to stop what we're doing. And when you do wudu, it's not like you're dirty. It's a transition, because let's say you were just talking to your friend about Pac-Man or a video game. You're talking video game, and then you turn Bismillah, you know, Allahu Akbar. There has to be a transition. You don't go from doing this, talking about dresses or parties, and then suddenly, oh, Allahu Akbar. So the wudu is a transition. And then you get to pray. And when you all learn to do prayer the Ghazali way, it's fantastic. But what you're being given, I was thinking Muslims are so lucky. They're the luckiest people in the world, because they don't have to take meditation classes and try to stop thinking and watch their breath. 5 times a day, they have an opportunity, an open door to get back in touch. Maybe some of your prayers, you just rush right on through them, but then there are the prayers where maybe you just had something upsetting happen, and you're doing sujood and it calms you down, and you do dua and you ask Allah to help you. Imagine that Muslims 5 times a day have it in their system, and everybody's doing it, to be in open touch with Allah. Imagine that we get to do that. Isn't that amazing? Do you know people of other traditions don't have such a blessed opportunity? And you may, I mean, maybe you go for many, many prayers and you don't even think about Allah. You just rush through them. But every so often a prayer comes where you really like are in touch. Ya Allah, help me, you know? So it's good what you've described about prayer, you know, that moment that you don't want to get up. Have any of you watched sometime where you watch yourself not want to do something? Can you see yourself not doing it? Are you aware of it?
I was. So it was when. So I was playing basketball with my friends,
Okay.
and I tripped them on purpose.
Oh my God.
And then I
Awful.
was aware that like I did a bad thing.
Wow, good for you.
After the game, I just went up to him and said sorry.
You see, good for you. You see, here's a perfect example. He's given us a brilliant example, everybody. Just that he was aware of what he was doing, you know. Are you still talking? You're on mute. Well, I think, Ali, that was a really wonderful example you gave to us, you know. And, you know, what we're talking about here is observing ourselves and correcting ourselves. The videos that you all are making are observing something and correcting it. Feeling sad you've done it and correcting it, right? Do you know what the term jihad al-nafs is? Have you ever heard it before? Ahmed, you have? You've never heard the term jihad, which means effort? Okay, I'll tell you that the Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, was one time returning from a battle, from war, a terrible battle that they had to fight, you know, like the Battle of Uhud, one of the battles. And he was returning, and he turned to his men who were soldiers with him. And he said, my men, we are turning from the smaller war to the greater war. The smaller war is going out with armies, but the greater war is the war against your lower self, right? And that's called, you know, the jihad al-nafs, the war or the effort against of oneself. So, but then when people go out and there's a war in countries, that can be called jihad, an effort. But this is jihad al-nafs. And but by the way, that's what we're doing together. And it's not just the hardest thing in the world. It's the only thing in the world we can really do, is to become conscious of what you become conscious of everything. So I'm very proud that you mentioned that you planned to hurt that boy when it was basketball you were playing? Ali? Was it basketball?
Basketball.
Yeah, it was basketball. Yeah. Well, it's a lot, you know, becoming conscious of these things, you know. So would anyone like to talk about experiences they've had when they've decided to just do something not so great, you know, that they've watched themselves do it? I do that all the time, you know. I hate to say it. Remember how we talked about having good ideas, everyone, and how you have to do them quickly? If you have a good thought like help mommy, do it right away, because the next thought that comes in are the whisperings of the good self, the real self, the golden heart says, help mother, or do my homework now, or do the prayer. And then the lower self is sneaking, it's whispering, and it comes up and says, oh, do the prayer later, put it off, you know, all this kind of thing. So when you have those thoughts, okay, here's what I want you to do. When you have the thought, like, trip the boy during the basketball game, right? Just say, that came from my lower self, not my real self. Can you all do that? Watch for a thought that comes, which isn't great, right? Where I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to, and then watch the two selves. For example, I told you the story about I think I told you this story already. I had a very old friend. He lived in England. He was a scholar and he wrote many books on Islam. And I started having this good thought, telephone him up. Now, he lives in England and we're here. So it was call Gay Eaton. And I had the thought, and I looked at my watch and I thought, he's in England, it's 5 hours, it's too late to call him. He's older person. Next day, call my friend Gay Eaton. And I thought, oh, it's the right time, but you know, he'll talk a long time and I don't have time for that right now. So I didn't call. And the third day I had the thought, call him. And you know what happened? I told you this story before. When I called, he had just died, right? So it means the good thoughts, how could I have known he was going to die? The good thoughts are like angelic. They're coming in to us from Allah, from our golden hearts. And, you know, it's so easy. And then you know what's happened to me now? I'm afraid if I have a good thought not to do it right away. So next time you have a good thought, just have it like outlined in golden light right in your mind. Right, it's in your head. You have lots of thoughts. Right now, you're maybe thinking, I wonder how many more minutes of this class, and I'm hungry, and you know, what am I going to do this afternoon? Lots of thoughts. And then all of a sudden, you're going to have the thought like, you know, it's pray her prayer or do my homework. And then when you have that thought, let it stand out like yellow around it, like this color yellow, you know, day glow yellow around your thought. And it's saying, do your homework. And then you think, oh, I won't do it. No, what you have to do is, I've just had a good thought, do it now. Right? Beat off that horrible lower nafs that's coming and trying to make me do the wrong things. I think we had a illustration in the workbook that you all must have seen, where all those bad things are trying to take advantage of you. They're all just sneaking. They're all these little thoughts. It's not the real self. Hang on to your golden hearts, and for goodness sakes, don't obey the stupid thoughts. So the other day I was driving home from the grocery store, and I passed this nursing home where some old people I know are there. And I thought, you know, I should go inside and see this old lady. And you know what? I thought, I just had that thought. Maybe Allah has sent an angel to tell me this. Maybe she's ill. Maybe right now she's depressed. So I just stopped and went in, and I really did not want to do it. But you know what? Where do good thoughts come from? Do we now know? From the angels.
Angels.
They're angels, right? So you have to do them. In this picture in your workbook, you all know this. And here is you, your beautiful heart, walking along life. And all these things are like trying to waylay you. You have here, bragging is up here in the tree. Brag, just brag. I'm better than you. I've got this. My video game is better than yours. And then pride, I'm the one, I know everything. And then here's the one, backbiting, right here, sneaking along. Hypocrisy, arguing. Does anybody argue out there? Arguing. These are all horrible thoughts, okay? So what I think is important is for us to just start to try to make a habit. The next time something comes up that's a good thought, just say, oh my God, this good thought has come. The angels have just brought it into my mind, into my heart. If I don't do it, my nafsalamara, the one that's only selfish, thinking of itself, it's taking over. I'm gonna fight it. So let's each one of us just imagine a story. Tell a story. Each one of you will make up a little tiny story of somebody who's just sitting there and they have a good thought, and then tell how they fight, and then tell about the bad thought that tells them not to do it. So each one of you make up a little story, you know, and maybe in your story, they win out. Let's say the little boy, Ahmed or Adil or Khaled, he's walking along in the street and he sees some trash on the ground. I see that often. And he thinks, I should, and the angels say, I should pick it up. I'm going to put it in the trash basket over there. It's trash. And then he thinks, oh, I'm not going to do that. You know, there's lots of trash around here. And then his real self, the golden heart, says, oh my God, you just let, you Khaled, you just let that lower, horrible, creepy self defeat your heart. And then he thought, oh my God. He went over Khaled, he picked up the piece of trash and he put it in the trash basket. Okay, I've just made up a story. Who's going to make up the next story? It can be any silly story. Okay, next story. Who? Yes, go ahead.
So
Once upon a time.
once upon a time, there was this kid named Ali,
All right.
and he was sitting on the couch watching TV. It is a beautiful day outside,
Uh-huh.
but he still stayed inside. His lower nurse was telling him to stay inside, but his real self was telling him to go out. He then listened to his real self and then went outside and had some fun and came inside a little bit later.
Fantastic story. Fantastic story. You know, and it's a good story too, because I'm sitting here in the house all the time. And I went out yesterday and the ground is solid ice. Are you all solid ice up there? I mean, you fall. I had to walk on the grass part because I would have fallen on the road, right? And it felt so good being out in the fresh, beautiful air outside. And I was so glad I forced myself out. Okay. Yes, go ahead. Yes, Elknor.
Once upon a time, someone was driving and they saw that a car crash happened.
Mhm.
They didn't stop. They didn't stop and listen to the lower nefs.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So they
Like that
lost.
helped.
They lost the battle. They didn't even notice. They didn't even notice it was the lower self. They let the lower self win. Is that it?
Yes.
Very sad. Very sad. Okay. Next story. Ahmed, yes. Ahmed Jazar, yes.
So one day, this is a true story.
Okay.
So one day there was a car accident happen like in front of her house, and we were outside playing with the snow. I think this was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then some people went by, and then one of them opened the window and said somebody doesn't know how to drive, and then
So
they just
rude.
went away.
Oh my goodness. Very
But
rude.
like there were the two people, one of them called the cops because of their car. It was like one of the cars in front of the car, it was like all busted up, and the other one only a little bit broke on the back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they had to call the cops so they didn't run away.
Yeah.
And then some people went by, and then one of them just said somebody doesn't know how to drive.
That was very mean of them, wasn't it? As if these people weren't going through enough pain, you know, from the accident. So the person who said the mean thing out the window, okay? That person in your story, right? Was he aware he was saying something naughty, or he just didn't even notice the lower self got his heart, right?
No, he didn't notice. He just went like this. Somebody doesn't know how to drive. That's all he said.
So which self won out, the lower self or the good self?
Lower self.
The lower self beat him. Yeah, he beat him. Yeah, he didn't even notice it. But we're into noticing. Excellent. All right, Ali Jazar.
Okay, so
Make up once upon a time.
okay, so like, do I say how other people did it to each other, or do I say from like my perspective?
You can do whatever you want, but all you need to put in the story is there's a bad thought, and then it tries to win out, and maybe the good thought. Well, you've got to just yeah, tell a story about, you could make up the person, right? And they have an opportunity to do something good, okay? And then the bad thought, the waswisu, says don't do it. And then you can decide if the person is going to do the right thing or not, okay? So you're tell us the story. Once upon a time.
Okay, once upon a time, there was like a kid at my school.
Yeah.
So he used to be like, everyone used to respect him. He used to be like the main attract in like class.
Mhm.
And so he's kind of bossy. So when we were playing soccer, like he kept on kicking the ball out, and we were like, stop, and he was starting to like curse kind of. We were like, don't curse and everything, and then he just stopped.
Oh my goodness, he stopped. So what do you think was happening? Talk about the lower self and the golden heart. What was happening here?
So I think because when we said stop, he might have thought that we were gonna tell on him or like threaten him. If he doesn't stop, we could tell on him or kick him out the game.
So that's a good point you made. He didn't stop because his golden heart made him stop. He stopped because he was afraid of other people, right? Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Better to have your own golden heart tell you to stop. Who's next? Ahmed? We've done Ahmed Jazar, but we have the other Ahmed.
I was the first one to say something.
Oh, sorry. I got confused. Okay.
Yeah.
Who's missing now? Halak?
Once upon a time, there was one kid playing video games, and then his mom told him to throw out the trash.
Yeah.
And then instead of listening to his lowered heart, he went and took out the trash, something like that.
So he obeyed the golden heart. Yeah, exactly. Right,
Mhm.
right. Good. He did the right thing. He just did it. Okay. Excellent story. Sueda, what about you?
Once upon a time, there was somebody who was just like in their room, like guess like doing their own thing. I don't know. And then they knew that their mom was getting ready for dinner and cooking dinner, and they had a thought that told them that they should help them with their mom. And then there was like a thought that said, "It's fine, you don't need to help."
Yeah.
But then they got up and helped because they knew that their mom needed help.
That's really good. That's really good. This kind of thing is going on all the time, isn't it? You know, maybe our daily lives all day long, this is what's going on every minute. I should do this. You know, I should fix my husband a good lunch. Oh, well, I'll just, open a can of soup. I mean, no, I want him to, let me do the golden heart. It'd be beautiful. I did it by hand. I have the time. So I win out on that one, but then I will lose out on another one. The whole point of the human lifespan is to get to be your golden heart all the time. And if you keep practicing it, if you watch yourself and you think, oh my God, do it anyway, push on through. If you have that thought, oh, I'm not going to get up for prayer. I'm not going to help mommy. And then your golden heart could say, push on through, just do it anyway. Okay. Who else still is going to speak? Who else has a story? Everyone has to have a story, by the way. You can't get out of this. All right. Yes. Who's missing? Who's going to do it next?
Azar, sweetie, you have a story?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a story.
Okay. Once upon a time.
Once upon a time, this was me actually.
Oh, it's a real story. Okay.
I was watching a show and then I realized that I had to pray. And then I was like, oh, I still have time. I think there was like an hour left. And then I just got up and prayed because I knew that the hour was gonna go by quickly. And so I just got up and prayed.
So the golden heart beat out the lower false heart. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Didn't it feel good? It felt good, didn't it? Because, every time my lower self wins, I don't feel great. I just feel uncomfortable, and a little bit sad, because we always feel good when the golden heart wins out. Do we have anyone else ready to speak? It's my husband is beckoning me to get ready to go to the hospital for our shots right now. But what I'd like you to do is next week, we're doing, are we doing 31 next week? No, we're doing 32. Well, this was the chapter on doing too many things, but all this chapter is about is that if you only have so many hours in your life, right? And if you really looked at how much of your day you actually give back to Allah, who has given you everything, who you are, your parents, everything you've got. And do we give much back to him? You know, when you get to the book of prayer, I just have to tell you, there's an image that I read that that if you don't do your prayers correctly, you rush on through or you miss them, your prayers are like crying out, you've cheated me. You didn't do me correctly. And sometimes I can just think, oh, my prayers are crying that I've cheated them, right? What a thought. We don't want to cheat our prayers. We want to do them the best we can. But then again, there you have it. The lower self saying, rush on through so we can get out the door and go to do whatever it is. And then the real self saying, Yani, Allah is my Lord and I love him and I'm so grateful and I'm going to try to do the prayer correctly and all this. But anyway, you're going to discover your whole life is this jihad al-nafs. And the reason we're studying Ghazali is if people just tell you, pray 5 times a day, it's kind of hard to do because you don't understand the inner meanings, what it means. Do that, you know, don't be angry, don't argue. If it's just a rule, it's very hard to follow. But Imam al-Ghazali and what we're going to be doing gets into the deeper reasons inside of all of these things. So it makes it much easier because do you think we were born on earth, just born and we're supposed to like, the only thing we're going to do is, you know, go to school, get a job, make money, go to parties, watch TV. Do you think the human being was created for that? No, the human being was created to know Allah. And the only way we can know Allah is to use our golden hearts and conquer the horrible little sneaky nafs lamar bisu, our little selfish tendencies. It's a big job, but we're here on a journey together. So I'll see you next week, and we are going to do chapter 32, the teacher, the lion, and the jug of water. And you think that's a simple story? The implications of it are gigantic. So that's going to be a fun lesson. I'll see you next week at
11?
Yeah, 11 is fine. 11 is
Okay.
fine.
But
And-
2 weeks from now is 10.
Yeah, that's it. Okay.
Okay.
And so next week is everyone chapter 32. It's short and it's deep. Don't think these, just because these are written for children, the ideas were written for scholars. These ideas are real. And then we'll do for we'll do those 2 chapters, 30, 33 and 34. We'll do those with the other group. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm very proud of you. And I want everybody to be watching, having their golden hearts on red alert. Okay, everybody? Yes, team, red alert.
Yes.
Okay, bye, my dears. I hope I don't
Thank
have a
you.
reaction. And I hope you all are going to feel better. You're going to be
We will
exhausted.
pray for you. Hopefully have a smooth transition. Hopefully.
I know, I've
it will
made
work.
plans for the next few days, just in case.
Yes.
So
See you
with
next week,
so much love,
inshallah.
everybody.
Bye.
Alhamdulillah.
Bye. See you next week.
I love you, dear family.
We love you too.
Thank you, sweeties.
Next week, inshallah.
Barakallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Salam.
Bye, dears.
Bye-bye.